And
Well, thank you so much, Larry. And hello, everyone. Welcome to Mindset Matters. My name is Leanne Cannon with Cannon Coaching and Connecting, reminding you that your mindset matters, and it matters a lot. I'm an author, motivational speaker, business and life coach, mindset mentor, and meditation facilitator. And I have to tell you that I'm so delighted to have with me Becky Wilson from Integrity Medicare and Healthcare Advisors. Hi, Becky. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Leanne. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I've looked forward to this for a long time.
Well, me too. And I'm excited because you know how I tell all of you that your mindset matters. And what you think about, you bring about, you create your own reality. And so I'm saying this because if some of you out there have had the questions about Medicare on your mind, if you've been anxious over healthcare, and if you've been confused and wondering what to do of late, then you're here by design. It's not really a coincidence because Becky will be able to answer many of the questions that I'm sure have been on your heart. But before we dive in, I do want a shout out to Dr. Morgan and Lemke. They are dentists in Independence, Ohio. And I want to do a shout out to them for their sake and also for yours, because they do dental implants. So if you've been living in Toothpick City, like I was for a long time, then you'll definitely want to visit them if dentures are not part of your future picture. I just so you know, I had no pain, no swelling, no bruising, nothing when I went through this just a few weeks ago. And so if you use my name, you'll get a huge discount. And I was so delighted that I thought, well, I just need to let people know about them. Okay, so there you have it. If you know anybody that's in that situation, then by all means, let them know about Dr. Morgan and Lemke. And I even have their contact information associated with our show today, so you can easily get a hold of them. Okay, now back to our topic at hand, Medicare and healthcare. You know, I have known Becky for some years now, and it is no surprise, and I might say no accident, that the name of her company is Integrity Medicare and Healthcare Advisors, because I know that Becky is all about integrity. In fact, I want to read a little bit of her story before we even dive into the questions that you might be asking yourself. So here's what Becky says. My story is a little different than most people in my industry. When everyone else is winding down to retire, I started my business at the age of 64. I did that for several reasons. One, I'm raising three of my grandsons, and I wanted them to see what dreams and hard work can become. Number two, I also got to experience Medicare as a consumer when I had to sign my husband up for it. My only thought was how vulnerable the complexity of this healthcare system is really making our senior population. Lastly, I wasn't looking for a job or even a career, she says. I was looking for a mission. I wanted to find something that would make it possible for me to make others' lives better in some way. As a result, I've done the bulk of my work with the low income Medicare and Medicaid population in our communities. That's not to say I don't help seniors from all demographics, but it's the very underserved population that doesn't advocate for themselves. They often get scammed and too often don't get treated with the respect and compassion they deserve. So that became my mission. Unfortunately, the pandemic has made it harder to reach the people that need us most. As a result, they have been preyed upon by large telemarketing agencies from out of state and door knockers, both of which are illegal in Ohio. They've also been preyed upon by deceitful television advertisements and mountains of mail. Isn't that true? Some people actually got switched out of their current plan without even realizing it happened. Unfortunately, many did not even find out about it until they tried to use their old card. Sadly, they may be stuck until next October. What a circumstance that is. And I didn't even realize half of that, Becky, that could actually happen to people and does happen. And so, I want to ask you kind of maybe even a redundant question because of what we just read, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Since there are so many Medicare agents out there, and we know there are, what makes you different from all the others? I kind of know, but I want your answer is going to be.
Well, because this was my mission, Leanne, one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that I did it the right way. So before I jumped into the position, I went out and I met with people in the industry that were currently working with seniors so that I knew what obstacles they were coming up against, what kind of help they needed. So I sat down with people from Job and Family Services, Adult Protective Services. I attended seminars where healthcare workers and agencies that work daily with seniors, where they had contact with seniors and listened to what their issues were that they were coming up against. I went out to Direction Home, what used to be the area agency on aging, and I sat with somebody there and I spoke with people at Social Security. So I would know all aspects of the business when I went into it, because I never wanted to leave somebody in a position where they were worse off when I walked in the door. I always wanted to make sure I could make their life better.
Wow. You did a lot of footwork, a lot of preparation. You laid a foundation for yourself before you even got out there. Yeah.
I did, yes.
Well, I could see that would make a huge difference because many others are looking for, something to do, and they land on this. But you did the background work and educated yourself thoroughly. But I do have another question for you. Since you mentioned in the first part of your story there that so many seniors today get scammed, there are so many unscrupulous people out there. How can they really protect themselves? And I mean, I'm thinking, how would they even know they're getting scammed,
It's hard. We try to keep as much information out in front of people as possible. There's agencies that constantly do publish information, but there are some agencies that are out there to help protect seniors. And one is the Ohio Department of Insurance, and the other is OSHIP. And both of those organizations, you can report people that are calling you repeatedly, or that even are calling you, since cold calling in Ohio is not allowed. If somebody is pressuring you in some way, or if you feel that in some way you have been mistreated or scammed by somebody, you absolutely want to call them. The Ohio Department of Insurance, they're 1-800-686-1526. And OSHIP, and I like to refer to them kind of as the Medicare police. They're 1-800-686-1578. And, if you think that something has happened to your insurance and you're worried about that, always, always, always reach out to somebody, because one of the biggest ways you can help yourself is also to align yourself with an agent so that that person knows what's going on with you and can help protect you also.
Okay, so could you go back over those numbers again? I caught three, if I got it correctly, three agencies: the Ohio Department of Insurance, OSHIP, and the
Fraud and enforcement.
Okay,
Yes.
So could you do those numbers again in case someone wants to write them down now?
Absolutely. The Ohio Department of Insurance is 1-800-686-1526. OSHIP is 1-800-686-1578. And the Fraud and Enforcement Department is 1-800-686-1527.
Oh, thank you so much. And at the end of our conversation here today, we'll be posting your own contact information too. So if they have other lingering questions, they'll be able to get a hold of you too, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now, I want to get into some of the complexity that you talked about in that first part of your story. I'm sure all of us can relate to that and go, yes. And I think part of it is what is plan A, plan B, D, C? What are those letters all about? Can you help us there?
Ah, the alphabet soup of Medicare.
Yes.
So, what we like to do is, and whenever I set the basis with somebody, I like to let them know first we have to educate what exactly Medicare is and what it does. So, original Medicare was started with two parts, Part A and Part B. Part A is what takes care of your hospital, and Part B is what takes care of your medical. Now, original Medicare by itself only covers 80% of any bill. So no matter if your bill is $20 or 500,000, you owe the other 20% unless you have some way of covering the rest of that bill. Um, as time went on, the government noticed that there was a lot of seniors not getting their medications, so they developed Part D. And Part D covers your prescription drugs. There are plans that you can put in place that stand alone, or they can be part of a package depending on what your circumstances are. The one thing you always need to know is whether or not you have prescriptions or take prescriptions currently when you turn 65, you always want to have a Part D plan put in place, because if you don't, when you need it, you will accumulate some, excuse me, you will accumulate some negative impact from the government that will cause it to be unaffordable. So you want to make sure that that plan, and those plans can be very inexpensive, that just have them in place so when you need it, it's there. Um, there is a cost to that, obviously. Your Part A normally does not cost people money as long as you've worked for or paid Medicare taxes at least for 30 quarters. Part B does have a cost to it. Everybody pays the same amount. This year, it's $148 a month. It does tend to go up a couple of dollars every year, unfortunately.
Okay.
Um, so, and then when you get to Part C, what Part C does is it pulls all the A, B, and D together, puts them together under a managed healthcare plan, an HMO, that does have a network. And then they will add benefits that seniors need, like vision and dental and hearing and transportation. So those things actually enhance the healthcare that they're trying to provide. If you don't like having a network, then your option is that you can add to your original Medicare a Medicare supplement, or as it used to be referred to, a Medigap. Those plans have a set amount that you pay every month, and it does creep up a little by age, but you know what you're going to pay, and you pay very little on the back end, if anything. The most you might pay is your whatever your Medicare deductible for Part B is that year. On the other hand, Part C, you pay little to nothing up front, but then you have co-pays and co-insurance on the backside. What we try to do is sit down with somebody and try to decide which is the best option for them based on their health, based on their finances, based on what they want for their health care. Do they travel a lot? Do they go outside the country? Do you go visit your kids in Colorado when you live in Ohio? So those are all things you need to consider when you're trying to decide on how you should place your Medicare.
Wow, that is so interesting. And by the way, you explained that so well. Thank you so much. It was just laid out. There it is.
It's hard, but it's simple.
Well, here's the thing. When you know, then it's simple. When you don't know, it might as well be hard because
It might as well be Greek.
you just don't know, and sometimes the verbiage and the amount, the sheer amount of information can be overwhelming to where a person doesn't even want to look at it.
Yep.
I'm one of those. And so when someone has already done the work, they already studied, they know, and they can explain it to me like you just did, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Then I don't have to read through that manual or whatever, which
And
is
one of the services that we offer is that even if you don't choose to go with us, or we will send you brochures, we will walk you through those parts, we'll help you to understand it so that you can make an educated decision. If you decide you want to sign up on the internet on your own, that's up to you. But we want to make sure that as you're making that decision, it's the right one for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that really does show that caring spirit. It's not all about you. It's about the person that you're talking to and what is really best for them. Now, I did have another question with that. When you mentioned that the D is for prescriptions, which is wonderful and wasn't always there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that if you don't get it going in, then it can cost you more later. Can you explain that a little bit more?
So Medicare has two penalties. One is if you don't take your prescription drug plan when you turn 65, and they charge you for every month that you don't take it a percentage of a set amount that's determined by them of what the average is for cost. And then the other penalty they have is if you don't take your Part B when you turn 65, unless you are currently employed and you have other credible coverage. Those two things do give you an exemption from that. But otherwise, if you don't take your Part B, then sometimes that penalty, though not as quite as steep as the Part D penalty, it will hinder somebody from later on being able to get Part B even.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, that's very interesting and critical for somebody to know in time.
It is.
So,
Unfortunately, there was a large period of time where when they signed people up for Medicare, they didn't do a really good job of letting people know about the penalties. Now it's become a much bigger focus. A lot of us in the industry are trying to get them to drop that penalty because there are seniors out there that do not have coverage as a result. The thing that we can help them with, though, is if somebody is not able to purchase their Part D due to penalties, there are ways that we can show them to get help with their prescription drugs.
okay, well, see, that's so valuable, really, because depending on your health condition, it can be so costly. And if you can't afford it, then you're up a creek without a paddle, and it can be life-threatening.
It can. And there are also programs that Medicare and Medicaid both have that help seniors. There's a Medicare savings program that is based on income, and there's an extra help program that helps with prescription drugs that's based on income also. And there's a surprising number of seniors do qualify.
Well, that's a good to know and a relief for many, I'm sure. Um, Now that you've kind of explained how all of that works, how does a person uh, get to know what's best for them? Because there's
Well,
options.
there is lots of options, and yes, you can go out and you can do the research online. Um, but most often, what we recommend is that you find somebody that have either been recommended to, that you feel comfortable with. You find out, you go research them on the internet, or you're able to just call them and talk to them and have an agent in place that you can work with, because they will keep you up to date on what scams there are. You can always call them if you have a question about a claim that's not getting paid. You can ask them if you're going to a new doctor, and is this doctor in network, so you don't get extra charges. So it's always good to have an agent or agency that you can go back to for those answers, because they should be your contact all the time then. And usually, if you're with somebody like me that's a broker, then they could offer you pretty much everything that's out there in the market, anyways.
Okay, is that what you do?
That is what I do. Did a lot of work to get here. We all have to do quite a bit of education. We have to take a test. It's called the AHIP, and it's a Medicare test. We have to be licensed in every state that we sell. And then we also do hours of education with each carrier that we represent.
Oh, okay. Well, that broadens the scope of what you're able to do for people then. as far as offering them options and giving them choices, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So we can represent more companies, and that way we can tell you when you come to us, we can look up and see, kind of give a comparison with your medications, your doctors, and see which companies will serve you best and have the lowest costs.
I think that is so critical to have that, and you become their confidant, and you know their health situation, you know their financial situation, you know their concerns. You can see what's best for them where might be clueless about that, and then because you're there, you're not just there for setting them up and then you're gone. You're there for down the road if they have a question. Things change, and people's situations change or health changes or whatever, and they can call you anytime for any of that, right?
Right. And people, and this is a demographic that also moves. We become snowbirds sometimes. We can help you with that. There are circumstances. People downsize their homes. They move to another county. Sometimes that changes your circumstances or your plan.
Oh,
So those are important things that you have somebody to go to and discuss with.
right. And it would give a person so much confidence to know that they're doing what's best for them. It's not such a question mark. Like I hope I'm doing the right thing. So that is all really so wonderful and so valuable. And like I said, I'm sure that some of these very questions have been on the heart and mind of some of our viewers. And I would venture to say that there are even more questions out there. So in a minute, I want to make sure that they can contact you. But I do have one more question. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm sure that you have so many stories. I mean, all the people that you've seen and helped in different situations. And I'm just wondering, um, do you have like a favorite story, a circumstance maybe that was especially rewarding to you?
Oh, so many of them, really. And I've
I
been
thought
really,
so.
really blessed by so many of the people that I have met. I've become friends with some of them. We keep in constant contact. I'm very open with my and very accessible to all my clients. But one particular one that stuck out with me, I had a lady that I met with, and she was living on $800 a month. I recognized that she qualified for Medicaid at that point, and she did need some additional help, some home health care, some things like that. So I sat with her. We did her application online. We sent it in. A couple weeks later, she got notified that she did qualify, and she got notified of the benefits that she was going to get, and she was ecstatic.
Oh,
One of the big things for them is getting their $148 not taken out of their check. It's huge for them.
well, that would be huge. Yeah, if you're living on eight hundred
Absolutely.
dollars, that's significant. Yeah.
Yep. But then what you also find when you meet with people like that is that there are things that have been neglected for so very long. And one for her was glasses. She hadn't had glasses in many, many years. And I was driving home one night from a very late appointment, and she happened to call, and I thought something was wrong, of course, so I immediately answered the phone, and she just was bawling. She said, "You've got to see this. It's so cool. I've got beautiful, brand new red glasses. I can't
Oh,
thank you enough."
oh,
And that kind of thing for me that's why it's my mission. If I can do that for somebody, uh, that just is incredible. If I can get somebody a plan that has $50 of food every month when we are in a situation where food is so critical to seniors, if we can get the cost of their drugs covered, if we can get them access to better medical care, it's life changing, and our seniors get healthier as a result.
that would be so true. Yeah. Well, I just got goosebumps everywhere with that story, and I get it how important that is for eyeglasses. I mean, when you need them, and all of a sudden it opens up a world to you.
Well, and think about, you just got all the implants. Think about the person that needs dentures too, and that
Yeah.
hasn't been able to get them. I mean, that's life changing. Uh, so there are things that really affect our health overall that we don't think about. Dentures is one thing. How do you eat if your teeth are bad? Glasses, Hearing aids. Hearing aids really are very important even to our cognitive thinking and how we interact with people. So seniors that aren't getting those things tend to isolate too, and their health goes downhill as a result.
Boy, that's a domino effect, isn't it? And it is true that these things we take for granted. I mean, like you mentioned with my implants here and with dentures for others, if they haven't been able to get dentures, when you can eat, you just take it for granted. And when you cannot, when it's a challenge, when you cannot chew, it definitely affects your health. And it makes eating a challenge rather than an enjoyable experience. And so when you can finally do that, it's like, wow, even though it just seems like such a normal thing. Same thing like with glasses or hearing, as you mentioned, interacting with others. It does. So the things that you're able to show people and help them acquire, it's a whole new world for them, a new life. Like you
Yes,
said,
it is.
it is life changing. Well, Becky, I can't thank you enough for being here. It's such a critically important topic, and I'm grateful that people out there have you as a go-to. I was going to say people like you, but I changed it because I don't really personally think there are a lot of people like you. So I'm glad that you're out there in this arena for people to benefit. And please shout out your phone number and how else they can contact you, maybe your email address and website.
And Leanne, just real quickly, I'm going to give you a plug because part of why I'm here is my mindset, and part of that came from Leanne. And if you need a business coach, by all means, hook yourself up with Leanne because
Oh,
she
thank
is
you.
wonderful. And she's part of why I'm where I'm at. And this year, I have just hired 5 more agents for my agency. So I'm very excited about that. If you want to reach out to me, my phone number is 330-289-1298. My email is INS, I as in indigo, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, the word advisor, ADVISOR, the number 4, the letter U at gmail.com. And my website is www.Integrity Medicare and Healthcare Advisors.com. And I'd love to help you if you need some help figuring out what you want to do and you need some help with that alphabet soup, please give me a shout out or give me a call.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Becky. And as we're sewing this up, I have a few questions for you as well.
Yes, ma'am.
What if, no, I mean for them. What if you knew you could succeed? What would you go after if you knew the answer was yes? If you weren't hoping to reach your goal, if you weren't trying to reach your goal, if you absolutely 100% knew you could get there, how would you feel every day? How would you wake up in the morning? Do you think you might be happier, more confident, maybe even more pleasant? Who knows? If you really knew that you could get to where you want to go. Well, it is possible to live like that. It's a very exciting way to live. It's like seeing the beach. You see it. It's in your view, and you're on the pathway right to it. It's not a question, am I going to get there? You just can't wait because you see it coming. So if you're interested in finding out how to live like that, then just connect with me. And my contact information is associated with our show here today. So thank you, Becky, for being with us today. And thank all of you for joining us on Mindset Matters. Take care. Till next